Can't wait to see the end of the season. All right, last one before we start audience questions. This is for everyone. Maril, we can start with you and make our way down the line. Just on a personal level, what's the one thing that changed the most for you going into season 4 that differs from past seasons? It could be the way you approach something, a challenge you wanted to meet with your character, a challenge you wanted to meet with a script, anything that stands out to you.
Oh, that's a hard question. I don't want to go first.
Sorry.
I feel like everyone goes, oh, is this season harder or easier than the last season? I got to be honest, every season is harder than the last season. We think, oh, that season was so tough, but France, so hard, but this season's going to be so easy. This season, I think, because of all of the challenges of trying to do North Carolina and Scotland was incredibly challenging. And there are also some key moments in this season that we know the fans are very excited about, and we are very excited about, and there's a lot of pressure to get those right. And certainly in the Minister's Cat, things like that. I mean, little moments that maybe aren't huge story points, but are nice moments to try to get in. And I think there were a few moments this season, there's spoilers, but that we hoped we met expectations and also kind of did it our way, and I feel like we really pulled that off.
I think for me it was more challenging on some story levels in terms of the translation of the book to the screen, trying to find the balance between the characters, trying to find I always talk about the rhythm of the show, and I always think of music and sort of melody lines and bass lines that carry you through a piece, whether it's in a scene or episodically or over the course of the whole season, and finding the orchestration of this, of how these disparate elements of Roger and Brianna, Claire and Jamie, the people going into the Carolinas, Jocasta, when you were moving to certain instruments in the orchestra, to really torture this metaphor, was it was a challenge. It was a challenge. It took a while to kind of hear what the rhythm of this particular season was. What was the melody line this year? What was the bass line that was driving you through the whole thing? That took a while, and it took a while on the script, and it took a while editorially, because in editorially you can really emphasize and move around puzzle pieces and sort of figure out how it worked. And ultimately, I was very happy with how it turned out. I was like, oh, there it is. There's the piece of music. That works. But it was a different challenge this year than it had been at previous ones.
Well, I think it's quite tricky for me because it's a bit of a change of scenery for Roger. He goes from Oxford to just outside of town. Somewhere. Now, there are various challenges with that, logistically, like moving all your shit, like getting to just outside of town can be trickier than you might think.
Where does he go?
Where does he go?
Yeah.
Just like he settles down with a lovely girl just outside in one of the home counties. It's beautiful. They live a very happy life. No, but I think it's that perception. It's going back to that kind of the fan perception and expectations, I suppose, of some of the characters going into season 4, and it being based obviously on Drums of Autumn and where those characters go and the evolution of those characters particularly, and there are certain things that you want to stay true to, I suppose, in terms of how those characters evolve and the journey that those characters go on. So for me particularly, I know that Roger's stuff's all going to be based in libraries and researching and all that kind of thing. But I suppose it's keeping in mind that there are going to be things that people are looking forward to, expectations, changes, I suppose, changes to the character and how they evolve and how they move along on their journey and how they are different at the end of that, I suppose, for me was something that I kept in mind particularly through shooting season 4, and hopefully I stayed on track with that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, a similar thing in that I can't really say too much of Bree's story from this season, but in terms of one of the biggest challenges, I think for me was just from a research point of view, Brianna, she goes through quite a lot this season, and I wanted to make sure that I did enough research to play what she goes through and sort of the aftermath of what she goes through in a way that does justice to people who've been through a similar thing. So I suppose that was one of the biggest challenges, just putting yourself in that headspace.
That's, yep. Me, it was, this feels like Jamie's a lot of experience now, and certainly this season, I think you see, elements of every season. You see the young warrior, but you see, the leader of men and the politician, and he's drawing on all that experience. And actually, towards the middle of it, he becomes on the front foot. It feels like last season's he's always trying to catch up to things and save his wife from something, but
or vice versa.
Or vice versa. But no, it feels like he does for a moment at least get into this place where he's drawing on his experience and really becoming the laird that he wanted to be, I think, in a way. But it's Outlander, so things go wrong quite quickly.
I think for me, I definitely feel like I got to explore a completely different side of Claire that I don't think that I've had the opportunity to explore before. Given that they are setting up home, that it's a quieter part of their lives, it's a much more nurturing side to her, and it's not, we've sort of done more career-driven Claire, and I think Claire has been more on the front foot before, and this was an opportunity to explore this other side of her, which, I think was really interesting, and it gave me a really new challenge, and that's kind of great after having already done 3 seasons to go into a new season and be like, oh, this is a side of her that actually I probably haven't considered enough before, and it was nice to be able to examine that.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to do a couple audience questions. From Deb.
Hi, Deb.
Pickle Pin Gal from Pittsburgh.
Who? There she is. Don't know her at all.
There she is.
Hi, Deb. Yins are good.
Did you ever find that a certain prop or costume helped you get into character for a difficult scene?
What's the question?
The gun. I had a scene with a gun, and it was great.
I can't really.
You have a
I have an answer. I can't give it.
Like, if your costume doesn't do anything for you, it does it for me.
Do you guys want me to?
Do you want to swap seats?
Should I move?
Yeah.
I came dressed as Richard Rankin today. I think tomorrow you'll find that we just swap outfits. What was the question?
Is there a certain prop that helps you get in? Or costume?
Oh, a prop. No. I can't think of one, I'm sorry.
What? Nothing where that you built that whole cabin with your bare hands and not one of those props?
No,
wait,
I mean,
was that a spoiler?
No,
Sorry.
I haven't really thought about it. A prop. Oh, God. Help me out here. Let's move on. I'll think about that one.
Richard and Sophie, do you have anything to say about that question?
Prop.
I really do, but.
You can talk around it. You don't have to say what.
I hear that Jamie's quite good with bindings. I mean, just generally.
Just generally.
Generally, yeah.
I hear he's great at tying people to horses. It's just word on the street.
Yeah.
So you're good with, he's good with rope.
Rumours.
Couldn't possibly say anything.
Carol wants to know how much research you did into early American history.
I assume that was for the actors, not the
I was curious. Yeah, Sam, how much research did you do?
A lot.
I mean, the fundamental research was done by Diana. Really?
Yes.
So you have that as a foundation, but in addition to that, the writers individually and as a group did their own research. Then we also had historical consultants. We had Native American consultants. I mean, but that's been a part of the show from the beginning. We've always kind of started with what Diana gave us. Writers in their individual episodes would go off and obsessively research particular things in their episode. Talking about you, Tony Graffia. And then we would also hire outside consultants that we would literally call up and say, hey, does this really happen? Or how did this work? Or then they would read scripts and vet them and send us notes, and it's an ongoing process. So there's a lot of, and all the individual departments do research, costume department does its own research. research. Art department does its own research. There's a tremendous amount of digging through old books and trying to find things, and a lot of time on Wikipedia, I'm sure.
And also, there's actually, just for Jamie's side, that I think there's I think he sees a lot of similarities in his culture and the Native American culture, and I think there's a respect there. It's this warrior culture, and I think, you know, obviously he comes from a place where he has absolutely no understanding, like myself. But no, there definitely is a real similarity there, and I think there's an understanding between him eventually, without giving away spoilers. But there is some sort of understanding, ultimately.
All right,
It's a long journey.
Last question, because this is like the most important question of the night. Tell us about working with Rollo.
Oh my God. Rollo's the
I adore that dog.
Rollo's a complete CG creation, so don't get that.
Yes. He doesn't actually exist.
It's actually John Bell in a suit.
I will say the one secret about Rollo is, you know, we searched far and wide. This was a big priority for us, obviously, in season 3 of the search for Rollo and doing it early, because you obviously have to get this dog as a puppy so you can train this dog and etc. Find a dog that looks like a wolf, and we got 2 of the sweetest dogs in history that wouldn't harm a fly, don't like to bark, like to sleep. Our Rollo, whose name is McDew, we call him Dewey, he sleeps all the time. It's very hard to get him to act ferocious.
When he's not eating horse dung.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's true. It's one of his favorite treats.
I feel like
Sitting in
he's
post and it's like, Rollo's supposed to growl at somebody.
We had a scene where he's supposed to bark at a door, and his trainer was on the other side of the door with a squeaky toy, so all you can hear is, Dewey, Dewey. And you're supposed to be in the scene, like, very, you know, scared, and all of that's going on. You're just, yeah.
Our AD team hates Rollo, I've got to be honest, because the number of times Rollo's supposed to go that way and he goes that way, it's, yeah.
So he sleeps.
Training is, it's a loose term.
He sleeps a lot. He eats a lot. I feel, and doesn't know what he's doing. I feel like he's learned a lot.
Who's more likely
He'll
to
fit
ruin
in.
a scene, Dewey or Richard?
Dewey. Even Richard
ruin
can.
scenes.
Break a scene by laughing or causing a commotion.
I think you've got the wrong impression of me.
I mean, I think your co-stars have.
I bring scenes to life, not ruin them.
All right,
Isn't that right?
No one is jumping to your defense right now.
All right, we're all out of time, you guys, but thank you so much for coming. This is really fun. Outlander premieres November 4th. My bad.